Sit back and throw one back with your pinky in the air and a middle finger to the world. And join me, the eclectic gentleman Stephen Watts, as we look back on this day in pro wrestling history. But before we do, put that drink down, like, share, and subscribe. And without further ado, let's get our wrestling history on. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, it is August 24th, and we're going to start off as we always do on a positive note. That's right, these are your pro wrestling birthdays. 1944, The Rock, Rocky Johnson. 1945, you either love him or you hate him, but you can't deny the impact he had on the business. Vincent Kennedy McMahon. Of course, on the flip side of that coin, your pro wrestling deaths for August 24th. 1969, legendary promoter Fred Collier. 1991, part of the Vachon family lineage, Vivian Vachon. Alright, enough of the sad stuff. It's time to get to the meat and potatoes. That's right, these are your pro wrestling history highlights for August 24th. Jumping in the Wayback Machine and going all the way to 1955, where we see Don Leo Jonathan defeat Yvonne Robert for the Montreal Athletic Commission World Heavyweight title in Montreal, Quebec. This began Jonathan's second reign and ended Robert's 15th. The next year in 1956, Eddie Gossett, aka Eddie Graham, and Art Nielsen defeat Don and Red McIntyre for the Georgia NWA World Tag Team titles to begin their second reign. Grooving into 1960, the Fabulous Kangaroos, Al Costello and Roy Heffernan, defeat Lou and Red Bastion for the Capital Wrestling United States Tag Team titles in Bridgeport, Connecticut. This ended the Bastion's third reign and began the Kangaroos' second. Sticking in 1960, Eric Peterson defeats Joe Scarpa, aka Chief Jay Strongbow, to win the NWA Gulf Coast Heavyweight title in Mobile, Alabama. Moving ahead 1 year to 1961, Pat O'Connor is awarded the NWA United States Heavyweight title at the annual NWA meeting in Chicago, Illinois. The title had been vacant since Buddy Rogers won the NWA World Heavyweight title from O'Connor on June 30th. Moving ahead one more year to 1962, Luther Lindsay defeats Fritz von Goring for the NWA Pacific Northwest Heavyweight title. Same title but moving to 1963, Tony Bourne defeats Billy Whitewolf for that NWA Pacific Northwest Heavyweight title. Moving ahead to 1964, Carl and Kurt Von Brunner defeat Al Perez and Tojo Yamamoto for the Mid-American NWA World Tag Team titles in Memphis, Tennessee. This began Von Brunner's third tag title reign. Grabbing my best polyester suit and moving to 1970, Johnny Walker and Tojo Yamamoto defeat the Interns for the Mid-American NWA Southern Tag Team titles in Memphis, Tennessee. Bumping ahead 2 years to 1972, Lord Alfred Hayes and Ricky Starr defeat Bobby Duncombe and Dick Murdoch to win the NWA Western States Tag Team titles in Amarillo, Texas. Moving ahead 1 year to 1973, John Tolos defeats Victor Riviera for the NWA America's Heavyweight title in Los Angeles, California, to begin his fifth reign and ending Riviera's third. 1974, Ricky Gibson and Steve Kovacs win the NWA Mid-American Tag Team titles from Chris Gallagher and Don Kent in Chattanooga, Tennessee. 1978, Wahoo McDaniel defeats The Spoiler to win the Florida NWA Southern Heavyweight title in Jacksonville, Florida. Our final stop in the 70s, 1979. Dick Slater defeats the Mongolian Stomper for the NWA Southern Heavyweight title in Knoxville, Tennessee. This began Slater's second reign and ended the Stomper's ninth. Grabbing my boombox and going to the 80s, 1981, Jerry Lawler defeats the Dream Machine in a no disqualification match for the AWA Southern Heavyweight title in Memphis, Tennessee, to begin his 24th reign of 5,675. At the same show, Bugsy McGraw defeats Steve Kern to win the NWA Mid-American Heavyweight title. 1986, Fishman defeats Villano III to win the WWF World Light Heavyweight title in Mexico City, Mexico, ending Villano III's second reign and beginning Fishman's second. At the same event, El Dandy wins his second NWA World Welterweight title by defeating Javier Cruz. 1987, Don Bass defeats Jerry Lawler for the AWA Southern Heavyweight title in Memphis, Tennessee. This began Bass's second reign and ended Lawler's 50th of 5,675. Grabbing my flannel and going to the decade of grunge, 1991. Mark Starr defeats Ricky Fuji in Tokyo, Japan for the FMW version of the AWA World Light Heavyweight title. Bumping ahead 2 years to 1993, Super Devlin defeats the Great Susaki in Tokyo, Japan to win his second UWA World Welterweight title. 1994, WCW held the 28th Clash of the Champions event at the Five Seasons Center in Cedar Rapids, Iowa, with a main event of Ric Flair with Sherry defeating WCW World Heavyweight Champion Hulk Hogan with Jimmy Hart by countout after Sherry hit Hogan in the knee with a high heel. Hogan retained the title. And last but not least, in 1999, the WWF taped its first episode of SmackDown at the Kemper Arena in Kansas City, Missouri. There had been a prior special SmackDown, which aired on April 29th, but this was the first episode of the series. This was also the WWF's first event at the Kemper Arena since Owen Hart's death on May 23rd's Over the Edge. SmackDown aired on UPN on August 26th and got a 5.7 rating. The main event saw WWF Champion Triple H pin The Rock to retain the title after special referee Shawn Michaels hit Sweet Chin music on The Rock as he was motioning for the People's Elbow. Then Triple H hit the pedigree. Those were your short but sweet pro wrestling history highlights for August 24th. I'm the Eclectic Gentleman Stephen Watts, and we'll see you tomorrow.